These two guys have Minnesota sports flowing in their veins. Mackey and Judd on SKOR North and SKORNorth.com.
Reckless speculation.
And happy Reckless Speculation Thursday to all who celebrate across the nation. This is Mackey and Judd, daily Minnesota sports entertainment, and he is our friend from the 5 Eyewitness News Sports Department, the Scoop Podcast, Darren Doogie Wolfson. Vikings training camp is underway. We're going to get to some Vikings camp fodder, but we basically just want you to cut open your Twins trade speculation vein and bleed all over the show here, Doogie. What might they do? What might they give up? What are you gleaning right now?
Well, good morning, gentlemen. Happy Reckless Speculation Thursday, my favorite day of the week. If I had to handicap today, and Phil, this is incredibly fluid, but as I sit here at 10:15 Central on Thursday morning, the 28th of July, I would say of every starting pitcher that the Twins have checked in on, Tyler Mahle, Cincinnati Reds, would be the guy that I would make the betting favorite. Now, I will also tell you they've had dialogue with the Miami Marlins about Pablo Lopez. I can make a case that of all the starting pitchers available, this includes Castillo, Montes. Now, we can have a healthy debate about this, but I can make a case. Lopez, about as good as it gets. So here's a question for the panel. If it would take Alex Kirilloff to bring back Pablo Lopez, do you do it?
All right, some details real quick for the group here, for the panel. So Pablo Lopez is he's a right-handed pitcher. He is 26 years old, and he's under team control through 2024. The last couple seasons with Miami, he has a 3.03 ERA this year, a 3.07 ERA the year before. Big-time strikeout numbers. He is under the radar, but Doogie is right. If he's available, he is definitely one of the better starting pitchers in the National League.
Here's my follow-up question. Will I also see the local 9 obtain bullpen help if that's the case? Because I would be inclined to do it if I'm going into the pool, but I want to go deep end here. So if you tell me that they trade Kirilloff and are like, okay, we got our starter, we're done now, and this jalopy-filled bullpen of arms is brought back, I've got some problems with that. But if you're going to get me a top-line starting pitcher who is going to be under team control, I am not going to dismiss that idea.
Well, I mean, I would say, Judd, that the most likely scenario is they bring in at least one reliever.
Okay.
Now, they are working on bringing in a starter as well. They realize they need a starter. They need at least one reliever. I can make a case. It's 2, maybe 3 relievers. But the most likely scenario, if they make only one trade and it's for one player, it'll be a reliever, I would bet, not a starter. So I fully expect by Tuesday at 5 o'clock Central, the Twins bring in a reliever. Robertson, Chicago Cubs, former New York Yankee, atop their list. But they've had dialogue with all these teams, right? They've checked in with the Washington Nationals, not on Juan Soto, but they've checked in with the Nationals on their relievers. Carl Edwards Jr. would be a name. The Tigers, the A's, the Reds, the Pirates. I don't think Bednar is going anywhere, the All-Star. Pittsburgh native under team control for multiple more years. The Pirates, if you look at their young core, like they're not that far away. Like the Pirates next year can be what the Orioles maybe are right now. Then by 2024 can really take a step forward. Like Bednar can be a part of that. Now he's a reliever, right? Like you can always grab a reliever if you're willing to offer a ton, but like I don't think the Twins are willing to offer a ton for David Bednar, but they have had dialogue with the Pittsburgh Pirates. Go up and down the list, right? The Tigers, the Royals in the Central Division have relievers that you could argue would really, really help this bullpen. Heck, a lot of relievers would really help this bullpen. I don't think you need to argue it, right? I mean, this bullpen is so bad. Phil, did you see the note that since Wes Johnson has left, that the collective ERA of these guys is 29th in Major League Baseball?
Yeah, well, that's just a bad job by my second cousin Pete Mackey. I think he just
I thought it was you.
overwhelmed.
You were pitching coach, and you suck at it.
Royce Mahle did identify him as Phil Mackey on Bally Sports North the other night. So, we're both great pitching minds. Doogie, just to answer your question here. So Alex Kirilloff's wrist makes me nervous long term, and the fact that he's not really I don't think he's an outfielder long term. He doesn't have a lot of range. I think he's going to be, if his wrist is healthy, Kirilloff is going to be an incredible hitter. But I just like the amount of wrist issues he's had, and the fact that you can kind of find corner outfield, first baseman, DH types a little easier. I'm not saying that you're gonna not regret trading him, but if I can get 2.5 years of a playoff rotation caliber starting pitcher, I would absolutely entertain trading from my pool of corner outfielder, first base types, and bring in Lopez. So yes,
I mean, Miami offers intrigue, right? James Rowson is still down there. James, the former Twins hitting coach, has intimate knowledge of a lot of these guys. Mm-hmm. I know in the past Miami has shown interest in Max Kepler, so that would speak to your idea of you move off corner outfielders that you can find. Corner outfielders. Now, Kepler is elite defensively, so you would lose a lot from a defensive standpoint. But if you can bring back Pablo Lopez, you probably entertain the idea of moving a Max Kepler. I would also wonder, I don't know where the Marlins stand on Jose Miranda, but with his Miami ties, could you end up keeping Kirilloff and Kepler, moving Miranda, plus maybe a little bit more? I don't think Miranda straight up get you Pablo Lopez, but could it be Miranda plus more for Pablo Lopez?
Similar pitchers through their age 25 season from Baseball Reference on Pablo Lopez. Number 1, Vance Worley.
No, that's...
Number 2, Kendall Graveman. Number 5, James Shields, Zach McAllister, Chris Paddock on this list. He's been good this year. The last few years, actually, he's been really good. He strikes out a lot of guys. I don't know if I give up Kirilloff for him, but I would entertain Miranda and the 10th, 11th best prospect for him.
I might even go higher, Declan. I would too. I would not. I'm with you, Declan. I would not give up Kirilloff for him. For Pablo Lopez. I get the concern. I really do with the wrist. I understand where you're coming from. That's plenty fair. I'm in love with that swing. I have to write that down going back multiple years, right? That he is going to eventually win a batting title.
Yeah.
I am not getting off that stance. I think the bat is that elite that I'm not moving Kirilloff for Pablo Lopez. Now, I'm not saying I wouldn't move Kirilloff at all, right? I mean, depending on the starting pitcher you could bring back, but specifically Lopez, I'm keeping Kirilloff. So, I like the idea, though, of Miranda plus a bit more to bring back Lopez.
So, Doogie, here's what skeptical Twins fans are going to say, which is, and you probably get this in your timeline more than anyone else on Twitter, which is, of course, they're in the mix talking to all these teams about these players, and they're talking to the A's about Montas and the Reds about their 2 starters and the Marlins, and then at the end of the day, in a week from now, they're gonna have added some 36-year-old reliever. They're gonna add Dave Robertson or something.
Yeah, or Daniel Bard. I mean, that's another name from the Rockies. Yeah, somebody of that ilk.
They're always in conversations and close on these guys, but they can never actually pull the trigger. Why is this going to be any different, I think, is what fans are going to want to know.
Well, my comeback to that is, the issue is you look at their farm system, it's not as rich, it's not as deep as some of these other teams after some of these starting pitchers, right? That's why I don't foresee Luis Castillo ending up here. That's why I say Mahle from the Reds, not Castillo. Castillo may end up going somewhere. I don't think it'll be here. I can see Montas going somewhere. I just don't think it'll be here because other teams can trump what the Twins can offer. I'll give you 2 more names that I know at least internally they've come up at Target Field. I wonder what the Red Sox do. They just lost another series or will lose. Maybe there's a 4th game in this series, so at best they end up going 2-2 against Cleveland. But the Red Sox are now in last place in the American League East.
Yeah, they've gone off the rails.
Nathan Eovaldi has a history of being really good in the playoffs. Now, he wasn't all that good last night. Now, his defense wasn't good behind him last night. He started last night. Yep. I guarantee you the Twins had eyeballs on him last night. Now, the Red Sox, I think, will offer him a qualifying offer. Remember, qualifying offers are now still a thing. Right. We weren't sure if they would still be a thing, but now we don't have this international draft. The qualifying offer is still a thing. So you would have to trump the Red Sox offering him a QO. He might even take the QO. So the Red Sox might say, you know what? We'll just play this thing out. We'll make him the qualifying offer. If he leaves, so be it, but he may accept a 1-year, $17-18 million deal. But I do wonder what the Red Sox do, specifically Nathan Eovaldi. I still wonder about the San Francisco Giants. Now, there is no sense this morning that the Giants are willing to sell. But the Twins were heavy in on Carlos Rodon in the offseason, post-lockout. Would the Giants entertain the idea of trading Carlos Rodon? I don't have that sense this morning, but I can tell you back in March, the Twins were right there on Carlos Rodon.
And Dukes, I think the problem with, while it would be nice, it would be great if they could get a starting pitcher and a couple bullpen arms. I think the problem here, too, is what you just talked about, and it's this. There's going to be incredible competition for players and, of course, especially pitching by deadline day. And to your point, when your system doesn't have a ton now, like it's got some, but it's certainly not up there. I think we've talked about this before, guys. It's mid-pack, right? So like this whole thing of go get 3 guys. Yeah, that would be great. But at some point in time, the offers that are going to come into teams as the deadline approaches are probably almost certainly not going to allow the Twins that flexibility, because somebody is going to just simply come in and outbid them for a bullpen arm.
Probably, although like Benintendi goes last night.
Yep.
Now I get it, hitter versus pitcher.
Right.
But like that return that Kansas City got, like I was surprised Kansas City pulled the trigger last night. Like that's a trade you could have made on Monday, Tuesday at 2:00, just to see if you could get a little bit more for Benintendi, because the Brewers were interested, the Dodgers, the Blue Jays.
But the pitching returns are going to be different.
Done better. Like the Royals didn't get back a whole lot for Benintendi. Yeah, I get it. Pitching's a little bit different. That's where you look at the 26-man roster. That's why we need to have more of a conversation on Miranda, Kirilloff, maybe Larnach, who's not that far away from returning, but I think specifically Miranda, Kirilloff. Would you be willing, or Kepler, would you be willing to move one of those guys to bring back a pretty good starting pitcher? Now, if you're bringing back a starting pitcher, moving one of those guys, that starting pitcher starting game 1 or game 2, of that first-round playoff series, assuming you end up winning the division, right? Like, maybe Sonny Gray's your game 1 starter, but whoever you're bringing back then is probably your game 2, or Lopez would be your game 1, right? So if you want to look at it from that standpoint, you're bringing back your number 1 starting pitcher.
You guys, Buster Only, as we're sitting here recording this, is just on a Twitter spree of information. So I'll just sprinkle some of this on here. Some of it has to do with the Twins, some of it doesn't. But it's Reckless Speculation Thursday before the trade deadline.
Thanks, Buster.
So let's throw out there. So he's just rifling out tweets. So he goes, there's been some speculation in the industry.
Big Vikings fan.
He is, very much.
He is,
There's been
Huge.
some speculation in the industry the Reds might choose to hang on to Luis Castillo, but talent evaluators say Thursday morning that the Reds are proceeding as if it's full steam ahead in the process of trading the All-Star, who's widely viewed as the best available starter. As of Thursday morning, some rival I love the rival executives. Rival executive perceive the Padres to be the front runner to land Juan Soto. And then as of Wednesday night, the Giants continue to convey to other teams that they aren't sellers yet. And at the moment, they intend to hang on to Carlos Rodon, Jock Peterson, etc. Given the Giants' recent slide, other teams are monitoring San Francisco closely.
Well, that would be the Twins for sure. I still think the Reds end up moving Castillo. Like, where are the Reds going the next couple years? They already stripped this thing down enough.
Yeah, they're trading.
Right. So rebuild your farm system, which they're already doing. Make a run. Try to make a run at least 25, 26. But, like, where are the Reds going the next couple years? So
the
like,
Twins
now
should trade
is the
for
time
Castillo.
to maximize.
They should
the
get both
Castillo
those
return.
Red starters, and then they can have the Reds' 3 top starters from last year heading into a playoff.
Yeah,
push.
I like that plan.
Sonny
I would
Gray is
happily
already
take
on the
both those guys, but I'm just telling you, I don't see Castillo ending up here. Mahle, maybe.
No.
Yeah, maybe, but not Castillo.
Before we proceed here on Reckless Speculation Thursday,
Can I add one more, Phil, by the way? So on the Padres, so
by all means.
you look at their payroll, okay, and that's fine. Make them the front runner for Soto. I might make the Cardinals the front runner for Soto, but that's fine if you want to make the Padres the front runner for Soto. Do they get off of one of their starting pitchers making a bunch of money? Like, I know the Twins, when Blake Snell was in Tampa, like, how would you not have interest in the former Cy Young winner? But the Twins have had interest in the past in Blake Snell. Now, the Twins will actually face Blake Snell this weekend. But with San Diego, they've been rolling, at least they did for a while, a 6-man rotation. So they have some depth, even after moving off Paddock. They have some depth starting pitcher-wise. Is there a potential deal there with the Padres?
I could
Just another
see
thing I'd keep an eye on, but I can tell you this front office in the past has really, really liked Blake Snell.
Yeah, and while the Padres might be riding a 6-man pitching staff, some of you might be riding motorcycles like Harleys and Indians and Metric Cruisers, and it's still riding season for at least the next couple months. And so why don't you get on into Dennis Kirk and DennisKirk.com, where they have over 160,000 parts and accessories in stock, free shipping on orders over $89, and same-day shipping on orders placed before 8 p.m. Ride more, wait less at DennisKirk.com. Judd Zulgad.
Dukes, your takeaway from opening day of training camp, Vikings. I will say this as a quick observation, and I'm curious if you agree. While the Vikings and certainly league rules keep things like contact out until August 1st, I was impressed with, and it's a small thing, so go ahead and laugh. I was impressed by the pace of the practice.
Oh, I agree.
Though.
Yeah.
Like they were going. They were going at a speed that I don't think we saw previously with Zim and that regime.
I'm with you. Yeah, we bonded out in Eagan yesterday. We'll bond again presumably later today. I'm assuming you'll be out there. 100%. I'll be out there. So yeah, we'll
SPF 30.
Well, no, I need 50 actually.
50.
I tried to get 50. Dawn said no, so she's trying to kill me.
Just a couple of guys from the clickbait capital of Twin Cities media, SKOR North, just bonding at Vikings training camp. Love it.
But yeah, I thought I was watching a PJ Fleck practice for a bit.
Okay.
Like it was that sort of tempo, maybe not quite to that extreme, but it was compared to Mike Zimmer practices. Yes, I agree with you on the tempo. I thought Dalvin Cook looked really good. But again, like the pads come out on Monday. I don't know how much you can glean, but Dalvin Cook to me, just my untrained eye, very untrained eye. I thought Dalvin looked really, really good. I was watching Irv Smith Jr. move.
Yep.
I didn't notice anything out of the ordinary.
He looks great too.
And that speaks to, I'm telling you, the Kyle Rudolph's team was his side, not necessarily the Vikings. Like I stated that at the time, but now that he's down in Tampa, like Kyle was very interested in staying here in Minnesota. He's got the house, the family,
and would serve his own agenda.
I know, hard to believe. I know. But anyway, not that the Vikings hung up the phone, so they listened.
Yeah.
But like, I don't think the Vikings ever came remotely close to extending Kyle Rudolph an offer. Like that was one-sided, and I'm happy for Kyle. I really am. Heck, go chase a ring with Tom Brady.
Insincere Judd.
Down
Insincere
in Tampa.
Doogie. That's what
Kyle's a good guy. I was at a
people.
charity event with him 2 Mondays ago. We talked for a bit. I do. I like Kyle. I really do. Absolutely. But I'm just telling you, like it didn't come close to the Vikings signing Kyle Rudolph because they must have known at that point that, okay, we wondered, but now we know. The Irv Smith Jr. knee is okay. I thought Zach Davidson looked pretty good. If you're thinking about an under-the-radar guy, can he make the 53? Can he not make the 53? Tight end, Zach Davidson, 5th-round pick a year ago. So he stood out to me. Zadarius Smith getting treatment early in practice. That was another thing I observed. Just have to wonder about the back. But, man, if he can stay in the field, not even 17, like 14 or 15 games.
Yep.
Like, look out, right? So, I mean, that is as big a key as any. Keep Zadarius Smith healthy. I don't even know what another level of Eric Kendricks looks like, but he told me post-practice he thinks this will be his best year yet. I don't even know how to quantify that exactly because he's so darn good to begin with, but he thinks there's another level there.
No.
So that was interesting to me. I talked with BC Johnson for a bit post-practice. I thought it was interesting that he had to really lean heavily on a sports psychologist just to overcome the mental side of things coming back from the serious knee injury. Like, he had serious doubt at different points whether he would ever return to the football field. So he had some emotion yesterday, even though he was out there OTA's minicamp, but just, the start of the season, training camp practice 1.
Right.
So I thought that was interesting. But I'm telling you, I'm not going to obsess over Jesse Davis being the starting right guard on July 27th. Let's talk on August 27th, not July 27th, about something like that.
Well, let's okay, you don't have to, lose any hair over Jesse Davis, but how do the Vikings currently feel from what you can tell about the state of their offensive line? Because that is the biggest problem for years. Yeah,
well, if they bring in an outside free agent, it would be somebody like Ndamukong Suh, a defensive lineman. By the way, nothing going on that front. They casually exchanged contractual figures. He's looking for a decent amount of money. I don't sense the Vikings are interested in paying him a decent amount of money. If he wants to come here on the cheap, sure, the Vikings would welcome Ndamukong Suh with open arms. But I don't sense right now, maybe that changes after they watch 10 training camp practices, but right now the Vikings are not willing to meet the number that Ndamukong Suh is looking at. Phil, I mean, if somebody hits the open market on September 1st, maybe. But right now, like, they're going to roll with who they have, right? So right now it's Jesse Davis starting right guard. I still would not dismiss Chris Reed, the Mankato product, Minnesota State Mankato, former Colt. Like, he's going to have a chance to win that job. But right now, Jesse Davis starting right guard. But like, again, let's circle back to this 1 week from now. Next Thursday, after a couple padded practices, let's see where things stand.
That is no fun.
Then you're going to have Austin Schlottman takes in a week from now, is what I'm saying.
Austin Schlottman, too, was second team center. So Austin Schlottman. So like Phil,
why mention that? I mentioned that at some point.
If they were to challenge Garrett right now, it'd be Schlottman challenging Garrett Bradbury.
No JC Treader steam. There just isn't. If that's a name that you're thinking about, I've checked. There isn't anything going on there. Maybe eventually, but right now, no. As we sit here right now in real time, or at least as of earlier this week, just nothing going on with J.C. Treader and the Vikings.
Justin Jefferson says, and I quote him, a fine young man, I'm not too fond of money in saying he's not concerned about his contract. I really like him. He is a dominant personality. He's a great player. But I'm going to tell you right now, Justin, that quote is going to come back to haunt you at some point.
If I'm Rob Brzezinski, I'm using that quote a year from now in negotiations.
And so will all of us.
Yes.
Hey, Justin, you said you weren't too fond of cash. What happened? So I thought that was an interesting quote.
I also had a nice chat with Kellen Mond post-practice. He was engaged with our former colleague Matt Collar for a while, but he seems to be in pretty darn good spirits. COVID bit him pretty good last year, just with the weight loss and just how that impacted the way he threw the ball last year and everything. But he seems to be in a really, really good spot. Like, it's hard for me to believe that he can't beat out Sean Mannion to be the number 2 quarterback. But Kirk Cousins is Iron Man, right? He doesn't get hurt, so does it matter who the number 2 quarterback is?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, he's Iron Man until he's not, and then you have to win 6 games because he broke his collarbone or something. So, hey, what are you, Kevin O'Connell in his first camp here, and he's made the media rounds. He did our show a few weeks ago and was great. I mean, all impressions to this point have been wildly positive. So, I mean, what are you sort of seeing and hearing about his first foray into camp as a head coach?
Yeah, I mean, just different vibe. I mean, a bunch of guys said that yesterday, that, they're not necessarily knocking Zim, but it's an open door with Kevin O'Connell. The guys are loving him right now, but there hasn't been any adversity. Yeah. They're not 0-1. They're not 0-2. We might be saying things differently on Tuesday, September 20th, if they start 0-2, right? Lose Green Bay, lose at Philadelphia, right? But right now, Phil, like, they love the guy. They really do. And, to Judd's point a week or two ago, they're not going to maximize the padded practices.
Yeah. They can do what?
They're at 11.
15 or 16, and they're going to be at 11. Yeah.
And they're at 11.
That is interesting.
Right? So, I mean, that's one thing that I can promise you, especially the vets. A few vets have noted, privately at least, that, hey, great that we're not in pads for the max 16 practices, just the 11. So, I mean, they love them, Phil. They do. And, I mean, all the way down, from Andrew Miller on down, CEO Andrew Miller, the Wilfs all the way down, like, they would, tell you that they made the right hire. They're positive. Yeah. They made the right hire. They love the guy.
Let's empty the rest of the scoop bag here. I will say, I don't know if you have anything, but I have really enjoyed the Timberwolves posting photos and videos on social media of Rudy Gobert just getting shredded this offseason. It's total propaganda, and I am all in. I'm here for it.
Well, I mean, he's been obsessed with his body for a while. He trains with one of those famous trainers, this guy named Gunner. Used to train Kevin Love. Might still train Kevin Love out in Beverly Hills.
It's a great name for a trainer.
It is. Yeah.
Go see my guy Gunner.
Correct. So anyway, maybe I need to track down Gunner for some Rudy Gobert intel. But yeah, Rudy spends a decent amount of time out in Beverly Hills, that area. Also, heads back home to France in the offseason. But yeah, I mean, he's long been shredded. So that doesn't surprise me. On the Wolves, Joe Branch, assistant general manager. Word is, I don't know if this is quite official yet, but that he's going to end up with the Bill Duffy agency. That, I guess the headline would be Joe Branch, no longer Timberwolves assistant general manager. Like Gianluca Pascucci, whose option wasn't exercised. They told Gianluca sometime in April, go ahead and hit the road. You can go pursue another opportunity. Joe also had an option on his contract for next season. So I guess essentially the Wolves are not exercising that option. So you think about the comings and goings in the front office. Matt Lloyd in, Dell Demps in. They are looking at bringing in Wilson Chandler, who played for Tim Connolly in Denver. Hoops Hype had that note first, but there has been dialogue. There was interest in bringing in Darrell Arthur from the Nuggets front office, but he's staying in Denver. But the comings and goings of the front office with Pascucci gone, Steve Sr. was brought in from the Memphis Grizzlies. At this point, Gupta's staying. Sachin Gupta is staying. So I'm going to win that bet with a league executive who told me by about this time he thought that Sachin would be in the Houston Rockets front office, that it would happen after free agency, after the draft. Sachin was at the Cat press conference last week. By all appearances, Sachin Gupta will be here for this upcoming season. But Joe Branch, gone. No progress on a D'Angelo Russell extension. I still think he'll end up just playing out the final year of his contract. And if he plays well, if things go well, they can pay him a year from now. But I don't foresee an extension happening right now. But there has been dialogue. The Wolves have also had dialogue with Jalen Noel about a contract extension, but the two sides have not come close to an agreement. The Wolves have tossed out 3 or 4 different proposals. But at this point, with more teams having cap room next summer compared to this summer, the appearance that Jalen Noel is going to have a bigger role this upcoming season, he's already demonstrated enough that he's intriguing to other front offices. At this point, I see Jalen Noel hitting unrestricted free agency a year from now. But do know the Wolves have tried to extend him.
Yeah. Love it. There it is. There's your scoop session there. Inside information about your favorite Minnesota sports teams on this Reckless Speculation Thursday. Thank you, Doogie.
All right, boys, take it easy.
Dukes.
See you a little
Right on,
bit,
man.
Judd. See ya.
Those
Bye-bye.
scoops presented by our friends at Federated Mutual Insurance Company, helping business owners for over 100 years maximize their success as a business through risk management tools and resources. You can find out more at federatedinsurance.com, where it's our business to protect yours. All right, dudes. There it was. Some good stuff there. Good Viking
Twin stuff is fantastic.
I love it.
I love the baseball stuff right now.
Listen,
Pablo Lopez.
if they go get, if they wind up with any number of these pitchers, starting pitchers we've talked about, they'd all slot in as one of the 2 or 3 best starters on this team.
Yes.
Go do it. Go get one of those guys and 2 relievers and see what happens down the stretch.
The past 2 days, too, have been a complete tutorial on what's wrong, right? What's wrong? Your starters aren't great. Your bullpen, some of it is awful. If you watch those 2 games, the only 2 games, and then said, okay, what's wrong? You'd say, oh, my God, this team's in first place. If they don't get pitching, they're crazy.
The first place thing is a little bit of it's a trap, right? Because they're in first place, but that's because it's not because of anything they're above 500, so they deserve some credit, but it's a bad division. So got some doormat teams.
But they are in first place, and so you'd be amazed in watching them. And if they make the playoffs, there's a good list to do on where do they rank among the worst Minnesota major men's sports teams to make the playoffs.
Well, the 1987 team was an 85-win team, 86, 87, somewhere.
They were great at home, but yes.
Throw that out there. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. But I'm saying they would be, and look, there are teams that have not been great that have certainly made runs. So I'm not even saying that they definitely can't make a run. I don't expect it. But, they would probably slot in with the 91 North Stars team. They went to the finals, but that team was terrible. That team wasn't good. I think that team barely made the play, but they barely made the playoffs, and then they made that run. But anyway, I think the Twins this Twins team would definitely have to be ranked in there somewhere.
The next 5 days are integral to me renewing my season tickets here in a few weeks.
Yeah, you hear that, Dave St. Peter?
DSP. I'm going to at you here because very important to what we do over these next 5 days if I'm renewing season tickets for 2023.
So
very important.
So this is it. The clock is ticking.
I to your point, I was never going to buy season tickets unless Carlos Correa. Is that Dave? Is that Dave right now? Come with the lawnmower to run over this tape.
It's actually a chainsaw right now. It's coming down.
Just taking a chainsaw to the pitching staff.
All right, we gotta go. We gotta go. All right, we'll see you over on Purple Daily for training camp breakdown. See you guys.